She thought it was just a follow-up email. But by the third message, she was falling for the one man she wasn't supposed to love. This is how a coffee date turned into a midnight obsession and a rainy confession that changed everything. The Titilayo family's dining room in Port Harcourt shimmered with elegance that evening. The chandeliers cast a soft glow over the long mahogany table, where crystal glasses caught the light and fine china gleamed under silver cutlery. Laughter bounced off the walls as Chief Titilayo raised his glass with pride. "To new beginnings and lasting partnerships," he said, grinning broadly. Toby, seated beside him, lifted his own glass and replied, "To legacy and vision, sir." As the others continued the toast, Toby's eyes wandered. They landed on a grand piano tucked in the corner of the room. Resting atop it was a photograph, framed in gold, slightly tilted. A young woman smiled from the picture, her confidence so striking it felt almost like she was in the room. Chief Titilayo followed his gaze. "That's my daughter, Titilayo," he said with a chuckle. "Smart girl. Runs her own business now, corporate branding and gift packaging. Blush and bold." Later that evening, when dessert had been cleared and the air was warm with the smell of brewed coffee, Chief Titilayo pulled out his phone like a proud peacock. "You have to see her page. Titilayo's always posting motivational nonsense and packaging videos. Look at this one. See her dancing? That's her all right. She never stops moving." Toby leaned forward, eyes fixed on the screen. Reels of her laughing, designing, pitching her products, and casually talking about her journey played out. He didn't say much, just watched, and then smiled to himself. This deal just got more interesting, he thought. The next morning, Titilayo sat at the breakfast table in her silk robe, sipping her lemon tea, completely unaware of the emotional ambush awaiting her. Chief Titilayo, still brimming with the energy of last night's success, set down his newspaper and said, "We found you a respectable suitor, Titilayo." She raised an eyebrow. "I beg your pardon?" "Toby, the Lagos investor. A good man. Solid values. He's not just helping us financially, he's family material. And frankly, it's time you settled down." Her spoon dropped with a clatter. "So what am I now? Part of the business package? Buy shares and get a daughter-in-law free." Her mother tried to calm the storm. "Titilayo, listen." "No, mummy," Titilayo snapped, eyes blazing. "I won't be bartered off like a pawn in some corporate merger." Her voice rose with every word. "This isn't Bridgerton. And I'm not some debutante you can auction off." She pushed back her chair and stormed away, tears burning her eyes. Her father's voice trailed after her, calm but stern. "You're letting emotions cloud your future." "No," she whispered to herself as she climbed the stairs, "I'm reclaiming it." By 11:47 p.m., Titilayo was shoving clothes into a carry-on, her hands trembling. Laptop? Dignity? Hanging by a thread. Outside, F's car headlights flashed. Lara rolled down the window, whispering, "Girl, are you sure?" Titilayo exhaled sharply. "If I don't leave now, I'll never be free." They drove in silence, the city lights of Port Harcourt slowly fading into the rearview mirror. At the airport gate, Lara pulled her into a hug. "Promise us you'll call when you land." Titilayo nodded. "I'm not running away. I'm running towards something. I just don't know what yet." Her first week in Abuja was humbling. Her new apartment was barely furnished. No fridge, no curtains, just a mattress and a folding table. But Titilayo thrived in discomfort. She turned the space into a war room. Packaging materials littered the floor, vision boards on the wall. When an email invitation came through from a major tech company to pitch her branding concept, Titilayo stared at the screen for minutes. "This is it," she whispered. "Game time." She rehearsed that pitch in front of her mirror, in the bathroom, even while brushing her teeth. On the big day, wearing a navy blue pantsuit and confidence like armor, she stood before the executives. "This isn't just branding," she said, voice steady. "It's how people feel when they see your name. It's connection. It's story." The room was still when she finished. Nuts. She walked out of there knowing she hadn't just pitched. She had conquered. The next week, she returned for a strategy session. The moment she stepped into the boardroom, her breath caught. At the head of the table stood a tall, dark, handsome young man. Bill. She knew him from magazines. He was one of the under 35 most successful entrepreneur. Sharp suit, easy smile, unmistakable charisma. "You must be Titilayo," he said, extending a hand. "We've heard great things." She took his hand, feeling the spark instantly. "I hope to live up to the hype." He chuckled. "I have a feeling you'll exceed it." Their conversation flowed effortlessly, teasing banter, clever jokes, mutual respect. As she walked out, Titilayo found herself smiling. Not at the deal, but at him. They began with emails, then coffee dates, then midnight phone calls that ended only because one of them fell asleep. It began with a simple email, polite, professional, just a follow-up on her pitch. "Dear Ms. Titilayo, your presentation was impressive. Let's discuss next steps." She replied within the hour, her tone just as formal. But by the third exchange, the stiffness melted away. "You mentioned loving art. Have you seen the new exhibit at the National Gallery?" Bayo wrote. Titilayo hesitated before typing back. "Not yet. But I've been meaning to go." His response came instantly. "Then let's go. Coffee first, art after. Unless you're afraid I'll critique your taste in paintings." She laughed aloud in her empty office. That was the moment she knew this wasn't just business anymore. They met at a quiet cafe tucked between Abuja's skyscrapers. Bayo stood as soon as she walked in, his smile warm but unsure. "You're even more striking in person," he said. Titilayo arched a brow. "And you're bolder over email." He laughed, holding up his hands in surrender. "Guilty. But now that you're here, I can't pretend this is just about business." She stirred her latte, hiding a smile. "So what is this about, Mr. Bayo?" He leaned in. "Honestly, I just wanted to hear your laugh in real life." The sincerity in his voice made her chest tighten. 2 hours later, they were still talking, the art gallery long forgotten. The first time he called her past midnight, she answered on the third ring, her voice groggy. "Do you know what time it is?" Bayo's chuckle was unapologetic. "I couldn't sleep. And I kept thinking about how you said caramel earlier, like you were savoring the word." Titilayo groaned, but she was smiling. "You're ridiculous. You hung up on me at 2 a.m. last night," her assistant teased the next morning. Titilayo flushed. "We lost track of time." It became their ritual. Phone calls that stretched until dawn, conversations wandering from childhood memories to dreams so big they whispered them like secrets. One night, she woke to the sound of his steady breathing still on the line. She didn't hang up. Abuja's sudden downpour caught them leaving dinner. They sprinted to his car, drenched and breathless. Bayo turned the heat on high, handing her his jacket. "Your mascara's running," he murmured, thumb brushing her cheek. Titilayo's breath hitched. "Bayo," she started, but he shook his head. "Don't say it yet." Later, under her apartment awning, he cupped her face. "I'm falling for you, Titilayo. Not as a client, not as a friend. All of you." Rain dripped from his lashes as she pulled him closer. When their lips met, the storm outside didn't matter. Sunlight spilled across her sheets as Bayo traced her collarbone. "Last night wasn't just the rain talking," he said quietly. Titilayo turned to face him. "I know." She'd spent years building walls. But this man had disarmed her with emails, coffee, and sleepless nights. Her phone buzzed, a calendar alert for a meeting she'd forgotten. Bayo kissed her temple. "Go change the world today. I'll be here when you're done." As she dressed, she caught him watching her with a look that made her heart stutter. This was more than she'd ever run from. This was worth staying for. One weekend, she was moving boxes into a small warehouse when he showed up uninvited, sleeves rolled up. "No man should let a queen lift boxes on her own," he grinned. "You're late," she replied, smiling. "But forgiven." They laughed, they worked, and slowly, effortlessly, they became each other's safe space. "You scare me," she confessed one night. "Why?" he asked, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Because I didn't come here looking for love." 6 months later, he took her to a rooftop restaurant. Lanterns swayed in the breeze, soft music played in the background. "Titilayo," he said, dropping to one knee, voice thick with emotion. "You've made me believe in forever. Will you marry me?" Tears streamed down her face as she whispered, "Yes, yes, 1,000 times yes." On the drive to Port Harcourt, her heart was light, fingers entwined with his. "They're going to adore you," she told him. But when her father opened the door and saw him, everything shifted. "Toby," Chief Adideo said, stumbling backward. Titilayo froze. "Toby?" She turned to him. "No, Toby." The world tilted. "You're the investor?" Toby's face was unreadable, but his voice was calm. "I knew who you were the first day. I didn't want you to choose me because your father did. I wanted you to fall in love with me." Her heart thudded painfully. "So all this time you knew?" "I never lied. I just waited for the right moment. And my full name is Adebayo Tobaloba Daniels. People that know my parents call me Toby, while other people that knew me." Tears welled in her eyes. "You let me fall in love with a lie." She turned and walked away, her heart shattering quietly. That night, her mother found her sitting alone in the garden. "You didn't choose love," she said gently. "Love chose you. Now, the question is, what will you do with it?" The next morning, Titilayo found Toby by the lake near their family estate, hands buried in his pockets, eyes lost in thought. She walked up to him, heart pounding. "Let's start over," she said softly. But this time, no secrets. No setups. Just this. He looked at her, hope rising like the sun behind him. "I've been waiting for that." At their engagement party months later, Chief Adideo raised a glass again, this time with tears in his eyes. To a love story none of us saw coming. Titilayo smiled up at Toby, fingers intertwined. She had run from him once. But in the end, love, real, stubborn, undeniable love, had chased her down. If you've ever fallen for someone when you least expected it, when logic said no, but your heart whispered yes, then you know how Titilayo felt. Share this story with someone who still believes in slow burn love. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment. Have you ever caught feelings over emails and midnight calls? More real stories. More heart. Subscribe now to Wisdom Tales by Cha, where every tale touches the soul.
Hello friends, it's your personal person, Cha. Thank you for watching and for being a part of this family. Please like and subscribe for more wisdom tales. See you in the next video.